Hey, it's Gav from Hiking for Health and welcome to another wild camping adventure. Well, today I'm taking myself out on the Derwent Edge to find somewhere to wild camp for the night. The weather forecast at the moment is all doom and gloom, but I decided if I'm going to just watch the weather forecast and make a decision based on that, I'm never going to get out. So unless it's extreme weather, I'm off. I'm going to go and find somewhere, and if there's a bit of wind, a bit of rain, as long as it's not extreme, I'm going out for a wild camp. So I'm not quite sure yet where I'm going to be, but I'm looking forward to finding somewhere to pitch. Let's go. So saying all that about the weather, I've just looked at the weather and it says for the next 2 hours there's a 90% chance of some rain. Now, do I get all my waterproofs on, cover the bag up in anticipation, or do I just keep going and plough on through it? Well, I've got a new tent today. I've got a Naturehike Cloud Peak 2, which I'm looking forward to trying out. Unfortunately, it's the T-shaped zip version. Amazon were selling both, and they had a particular sale on the T-shaped zip, and the J zip was like 30 odd quid more expensive. So I thought, why not? Well, I spoke too soon. Waterproof's on for 2 hours, it looks like. Oh. Onwards and upwards. Well, the rain seems to be shifting north in that direction, but over here the skies are looking a little bit clearer, which is nice to see. Well, here's home for the night, and in the background you can see all sorts. You got Loose Hill, Mamtor, Rushup Edge, Crookstone Knoll, all the way to Fairbrook Naze. And the Derwent Reservoir just down there too. So a great lookout point. I don't think there's going to be much of a sunset. Today's the day of the solar eclipse apparently, around 10 to 8. but the sun sets before then, so I don't think we'll see much. So I found my spot. It's nice and sheltered. It's reasonably dry, but I'm pleased I've brought my ground mat. It's nice and calm and chilled. So I've got one of those fire pot meals tonight and a can of Doom Bar. Amber ale, love it. So that's where the sun will be setting tonight. With a bit of luck, it'll clear up and there'll be some nice views to be had. So it's about 4:45. It's a bit too early to put the tent up, so I'm going to get the jet boil out, boil some water and have a coffee, and then I think I'm just going to watch the world go by for a bit. Every single bit of rubbish goes home. So that will go in there. Let's keep this beautiful countryside as it should be. Now these are Tesco granola bars and they're amazing. So I'm going to have this with my coffee and enjoy this view. Well, it's nice to see the sun making an appearance. Makes all the difference. So I've got the Cloud Peak 2 by Naturehike today. And it's the first time I've used it, so I'm looking forward to getting everything set up, which will be just in there. It's nice and flat. It's a little bit wet, but the ground sheet should sort that. So I'm in the Naturehike Cloud Peak 2 today. It's the first run out for this tent, so we'll see how it performs. I've heard some good things about it, but some things that could be better. So it'll be good to test it out and see what my own thoughts are. The space I had to pitch it in was quite snug, but it all fitted in. I'll give you a bit of a tour of the tent in a minute and you can see for yourself. But yeah, the vestibule sizes are much better than the Van Gogh Banshee. It'll be certainly nice to have some better headroom. I can actually sit up in this tent as compared to the Van Gogh Banshee. But I do love my Van Gogh Banshee. It's a great tent. I've been able to pitch it all over the place. And it's what got me started. So I haven't kitted it out yet with my sleeping mat and my sleeping bag, but I managed to get hold of the version with the T-shaped zips, which was recommended to me. And it's great, you can just open up the entire tent. So today I've got my Big Agnes Rapide SL in wide and long, the OEX Leviathan 900, and the brilliant Decathlon memory foam pillow, which is a bit weighty, but well worth bringing. Right, now to get it all set up. So that's everything set up. It's nice and roomy. So this is the Big Agnes in long and wide, and it fits in the Cloud Peak 2 quite nicely, with a bit of room to spare either side. Well, the temperature's dropped. The weather for tomorrow, it's looking like a -4 wind chill. So that'll be nice, waking up to that. But it's just starting to rain a little bit. So I might get myself in the tent in a minute. Just having a bit of a wander and an explore. See what I can see. So that's known as the salt cellar. The wind's picking up. Oh. So the wheel stones are over there. And back tours over there. And this is home for the night. So much for seeing that eclipse. So I'm quite impressed with this Naturehike Cloud Peak 2. I'm loving the extra headroom. I'm really liking the length. Seems like a really good tent. Big vestibules. Let's hope it's a bit windy tonight with a bit of rain. To see what it's like under a stress test. Yeah, I think I'm going to get into the tent for a bit and get some cooking on. Now, it's a shame it's not tomorrow, because tomorrow, Champions League, Real Madrid, Man City and Arsenal against Bayern Munich. That would have been good to watch, but you know, you come out to these places to escape all of the stuff on telly and everything else. Right. 9.1 at the moment. Doesn't feel like it. It feels like less. On to the second coffee. But I got one of those bad boys for later. Amber ale. So it's about 8:10 and it's still light. I think it looks lighter on the camera than it actually is in real life. But I went to make my dinner and realised actually I wasn't that hungry at all. So I made myself a second coffee and I think that sufficed. If I feel a bit peckish later, I might cook something then. But I thought there's no point cooking just for the sake of it. I've got a few bits and bobs in there snack wise, but if I don't need the meal, I'll save it for another wild camp. I'll probably be really hungry around about midnight, getting my jet ball out. So it's really clouded over today, but you got to look at the positives. It's not raining. It's been drizzly, but it's not properly raining. Well, I've decided I am hungry after all, so I'm going to have my beef stew with pearl barley tonight. So it's just a case of boiling some water, popping it in there and leaving it for so many minutes, and then it will just rehydrate and be ready to eat. And that's it, the jet ball's all packed away and the fire pot's cooking away as we speak. 15 minutes, it's had about 5 already. Looking forward to that now. I'm impressed with this Cloud Peak 2 so far. A few things I'd like to tweak and change. I'll probably tighten up the bungee cords on the little roof on the top to try and make it a little bit more stable. And but apart from that, I think the rest of it is all right. Probably tighten up some of the tie-up points outside just to keep them closer to the ground. Yeah, all easy mods, but all in good time. So let's have a look and see what this stew is like from the fire pot. Not bad at all. Piping hot. Let's see how it tastes. So let's see what this is like. That's not bad at all. Anyway, I shall finish this off and then chill out for a bit and then get my head down and get a good night's sleep, hopefully, ready for an early start in the morning. So I'll see you later. Morning. Well, it's about 6:30. It rained for a lot of the night, and as you can see, we've got a reasonable sunrise behind me and lots of water near the tent. Luckily I pitched just a little bit higher up, so it's not underneath the tent as much, but it'll be interesting seeing what it's like when I drop the tent in a few minutes. I think I've got about a 2-hour window to get the tent wiped down and packed away before it starts raining again. Peace. Perfect peace. Well, it's a much nicer morning than I anticipated, but I had so much more rain through the night than was forecast. So it all swings and roundabouts, eh? Well, I've wiped the tent down the best I can. That'll make it a bit drier for packing down, putting in my bag. These things are brilliant for just wiping your tent down. Right, time to get everything packed away. Got all that stuff out. So that'll go in the bag at the bottom. And the tent probably in the middle somewhere. Well, I don't think from the forecast it's going to look much like this for too much longer. So, all the better reason for getting the tent down as quick as possible. I think it's about 7 o'clock now. And rain's forecast about 9. I think I'll probably get packed up first and then put the jet boil on and have a cup of coffee. Now this tent, when I woke up this morning, was completely soaked. And you can see just how dry it all is now. Just by using that sponge, giving it all a wipe down, and then let evaporation do the rest. I'll still put it out in the garden when I get home, but it all helps. I think because of all the rain we've had recently, this area was just saturated. So any rain we had last night didn't seep into the ground, it just stayed on the surface. Tent's looking all right though, apart from a few feathers. The ground mat did a good job, and the foil mat I lay down is just brilliant. I'd recommend anyone get one. Just keeps everything warm and dry inside your tent. But you can see the feathers from the Leviathan 900. I'm wondering if it'll have any feathers left soon. Now, I would always say, leave no trace. But in this case, I'm glad I've left a trace, which is this dry patch just here. This is where the tent was. And that bit was just where the vestibule on the right-hand side was, as you're looking at the tent from the front. So it was just starting to seep underneath. But this bit is slightly higher than that. That would have been interesting, waking up with that under the tent. The mist is rolling in, bringing with it a little bit of cold. Right, so I've put my pillow in and sleeping mat first. Then I'm going to put the sleeping bag, and then the tent will go on top, which will be about the middle. And then I've got a couple of bags there. One's my extra clothing, one's my food bag, and then jet boil and bits and bobs on the top. That's the sleeping bag in, and you can see just how much room there is left in this Exos. Right, that's the tent in. Now it's just the bits and bobs, and then it's time to go. And the sun makes an appearance. What a place to wake up to. breakfast with a view. So I've got my porridge today and a Rice Krispie square. That'll sort me out. With that view. Awesome. And then I'll be heading probably up that way. Well, the weather forecast was right. They predicted rain in the next hour or two, and it looks like it's on its way. I've decided to rewrite that George Harrison song. It's going to be, "Here comes the rain." Look at it on its way compared to earlier. So what are my thoughts about the Naturehike Cloud Peak 2? Well, I must admit, when the rain started last night and the wind picked up a bit, being in a tent that was unfamiliar to me was a little bit of a worry, because I was wondering how it would handle all the rain and everything that was coming. But it did all right. Now, if I'd have been in the Banshee or the Bobcat, I've been out in several camps in those and it's tried and tested, so I wouldn't have been too bothered. But I have to say, the Cloud Peak 2 performed admirably. So I brought the Osprey Exos today, the 48 litre one, instead of the Ether 70. And there's such a difference in weight. Feels a lot lighter, the pack today. So that was a great camp, really enjoyed it. Even though the weather wasn't perfect, it was still brilliant. So I think I need to pick up the pace, otherwise I'm going to get soaked. So the rain held off, just a bit of light drizzle. I can deal with that as long as it's not that really heavy stuff. Anyway, this is the end of the wild camp. So thanks for joining in and following me and watching the adventure. And I look forward to seeing you on another one in the future. Happy hiking and wild camping, and stay safe out there. All the best.